Brahma Gururvishnu Gurudevo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tat Padam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedyadravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Matrurupena Sanstita Namastasyai 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 Namo Namaha Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shakti Rupena Sanstita Namastasyai 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 Namo Namaha Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Buddhi Rupena Sanstita Namastasyai 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 Namo Namaha Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Lakshmi Rupena Sanstita Namastasyai 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 Namo Namaha. So we are in the 18th chapter where our author, whoever he probably he may be, is summing up the teaching. So we're having here the summary about what is our bondage, what is our liberation, etc. Does anyone remember what verse we're on?
Or number 20.
Number 20?
Yes.
20, will you chant this evening? Sure. That way everybody can hear really well here in the room.
Chapter 18, number 20?
Yes.
Anya moksho na sambhavya kritakatvad vinashayat swarupat tatiraktesha shringasamo isaha. A different liberation ought not to be imagined on account of its destroyability due to its artificial nature. If it is different from one's natural state, it is only similar to a hare's horn. That is an utter impossibility.
So this is a very subtle point. What is the real knowledge? The absolute knowledge of the self. It is the self-evidence of I, Swayambhu, Swayam Jyoti. And the great cosmic joke is you already got it. The great 20th century saint Meher Baba used to say, everybody's already realized, don't worry, be happy. Any other kind of liberation occurs in the realm of Maya. Now, in Yoga Vasishta, Vyasa, the poet, whoever says it, Valmiki, excuse me, both bondage and liberation occur to the mind. The self is ever free. So again, as we were talking about earlier before class, in the realm of transactions, of Vyavahara, something does indeed happen to the human mind. What is my bondage? Because of ignorance, I think I'm my body. I think I'm my body plus the personality. What is the awakened state of mind? Firm conviction that I'm free, rooted in direct experience. And we talked about that a lot in the last chapter. When we have the paroksha jnanam, the indirect knowledge gained through the scripture and the teacher, then inspired by that, we meditate, discriminate between the real and the unreal, the self and the not self. And in that auspicious moment, space between your thoughts, when that vimarsha, that deliberation has suspended, with the attentive faculty turned inward, what does the intellect get? Oh, there's nobody there. My real nature is vast and empty like space, yet it shines as pure awareness. So it's the subtle intellect that has that aha moment, pratya vijnanam, the recognition. And what this shloka is saying is neither the bondage, got a bug there, neither the bondage nor the liberation touch the self. It is not the self that gets liberated. It's ever free. Happens to my mind. Well, this is cheap stuff. If the mind is illusion, why should I bother? Well, it's my mind that has the problem. What is it that suffers? What is it that's fearful? What is it that gets angry or jealous? What is it that yearns for freedom? The mind. So it's this paradox. Again, we have to see from what level. Any thoughts on this? All right, next verse.
Swarupam sarvata purnam anyo moksha kva sambhavet Swarupe sambhabhed moksho darpana pratibimbavat. One's natural state is complete all around. How can a different liberation occur? If liberation can exist in one's natural state, it would be like a reflection in a mirror. Note, there is nothing external to the self which is one's natural state. If it is said that liberation can exist in one's natural state as the world exists in it, Then, as the reflection is not different from the mirror, liberation is not different from one's natural state.
Yes. So what is it that the mind grasps? The mind grasps not that I was bound and now I'm free, but that I have always been free. We had a great example of what it's like. Yes, it was yesterday when you lost your keys, Michael? Yep. So Michael's visiting here from New York, comes in, sits down on the couch, puts his coat down. We finish our class, we go to lunch. Comes back, we're talking, time to say goodbye. And he packs up all his stuff and he goes out the door. Then he comes back. I've lost my keys. Looks all through the couch, searching. That's you and me seeking and searching the self. Oh, I'm going to have an experience of the self. Then some of us go off to India for a retreat. That's like Michael going back to the restaurant. And you just walked out the front door and that's when you noticed, is that correct?
Yeah.
What did you notice, Michael?
They're in a pocket.
In other words, you had it all along.
Yeah.
You never lost your keys. They were never lost. You had them all along. But in your mind, you did not know it. Once you, what did you do? Touch the pocket or look inside?
Yeah.
And what happened? Oh, I have my keys. No more searching. So this is what happens in samadhi. Before that dawns on the mind, I'm a person. I do not know myself. I'm trying to get from point A, stupidity and ignorance, to point B, enlightenment. What we are looking for, we are looking with. What this shloka is implying in the end, it's the simple awareness of the most ordinary waking state. Do you see the glass? No. Who sees the glass? I do. That's yourself. My only doubt is what kind of nonsense do I superimpose on it? I'm tall, I'm short, I'm fat, I'm skinny, I'm male, I'm female, I'm Indian, I'm white. I'm successful, I'm a failure. I'm lovable, I'm not lovable. So the investigation into the self gives the subtle intellect that firm conviction that birthless, changeless, deathless. So then the mind can let go of its struggling. Did you continue to search for your keys after you found them?
No.
You mean you weren't being a key mumukshu anymore? You didn't have the burning desire to find your keys anymore? finally, the mind is at peace. Any thoughts on this? Now, the problem is, such is the power of Maya, of avidya, our spiritual ignorance. Even in these moments when our minds are very quiet, and my essential nature is very clear to me, that thunk, Varana Shakti, that veiling power comes down. And I think I'm a person. And then I've got to start searching for myself again. All right, next verse.
Lokepi bandhavik matre. Lokepi bandhavigamat. Te moksho na bhavitaha. Vigamo bhava evam syat. Satyo bhavatmaka katham. Even in the world, liberation or freedom is not recognized without the cessation of bondage. Cessation can only be non-existence. How can a thing which is of the nature of non-existence be true?
So the problem is my bondage is not a real thing. My bondage is the fruit of ignorance. Now, I'm going to push back a little bit on this verse. Shankara says we cannot say that Maya exists. We cannot say that it does not exist. All that we can say about it is that it's powerful. So let me give you the point that this verse is driving at. So it's nighttime here. If we turn off all the lights, the room is dark. I turn on the lamp. Where does the darkness go? Well, darkness is the absence of light. So my ignorance is not something substantive. I don't have to do battle with my ignorance. Just as light is the antidote for darkness. The antidote for ignorance is knowledge. How do I gain knowledge? Vicharena, by means of investigation. How'd you find your keys?
Search for it. Well, I've been tapping my pocket.
You tapped your pocket.
Yeah.
You inquired into the location of the keys. First, you searched in the wrong place. You were looking in the cracks in the couch. You looked in the pockets of your jacket. Finally, you looked in the right place. Self is not on top of the mountain. It's not in the bottom of the ocean. It's not off to India. It's closer than hand or foot. It's closer than your breath. It's closer than your innermost thoughts. It's your very experience of I. What is the nature of that I? That we can be confused about. So we investigate how, in a mind made v20, very pure. This does not mean good thoughts as opposed to bad thoughts. This means we reduce the frequency and the volume of thought. We withdraw our attention from the knowable and investigate I. Go on. I see I do not have any qualities. I'm nirupam. Nirmalam. I don't have any taint or dirt. Achalam. I never move. Kutusta. Still like a mountain. Chidakasha, the space of pure awareness. Don't believe me. Don't believe the scripture. Prove or disprove it. The laboratory of your own direct experience. So where does my bondage go? Because its cause was ignorance. As soon as I realize I'm not the body, I'm not the ego, aham brahmasmi, the bondage is gone. Because it wasn't anything real. Any thoughts on this? Next one.
भावात्मकं वस्तु नहि सम्भवति क्वचित् तथा च स्वाप्नभावाश्च भावाभावो भयात्मकाः सत्या स्युर्बाधहेस्तोस्ते त्वसत्या इति ch18. A thing which is of the nature of being and non-being does not occur anywhere. And if you say that the objects of a dream, which are of the nature of both being and non-being, should be considered as true since they are perceived, but they are untrue by reason of their refutation on waking up, then hear what I say. So this is the doubt. When I'm in the dream state, well, let's back up. Okay, if you close your eyes and visualize an elephant, I know that the elephant is just fancy. It's just imagination. It's a visualization. It is not real. It has no sat, no existence. It has no bhava, no being. Problem is, if I dream about an elephant, like the elephant of my imagination, the dream elephant is just mental projection. It too is imagination. But because of the ignorance of deep sleep, I think when I'm the dreamer
that the dream elephant is real. So at best we can say, well, it's a real experience, but it's not really there. So this is the doubt. Can we say that a dream both is and isn't? So is there some sort of an existence actually to the ego, to the phenomenal world, or not? Let's see what the scripture says going on. Can you hear Puneet chant, those of you out in Zoom land?
Yes.
Yes, quite well.
Go ahead.
बाधो भाव प्रत्यय स्यात् प्रत्यया भाव कालिकः यस्यैवं बाधयोग स्यात् सो सत्यो न हि चेतरः. Refutation is the cognition of the non-existence of a thing at the time of the absence of its cognition. That object is unreal for which there may be an occasion for refutation in this manner, not any other.
So this refutation, it has to do philosophically by our definition of real. This is real with a capital R. If it is never subject to negation. Now, what he's talking about is how is it that I determine that the dream elephant is unreal? So simple, I wake up. When I awaken, where did the elephant go? Poof. It is negated. It is refuted. It is no longer available for experience. At best, it's a memory. See, and our problem is, I think that I cannot negate the phenomenal world. How do I wake up from being awake if, in fact, all this is an illusion? So he's dealing with this idea that what helps me determine the unreality of imagined experience is upon awakening from the dream, it's negated. Let's use a more worldly example. Someone inadvertently sends you a text all in capital letters. Your boss does. Call me as soon as possible. All in capital letters. If you got a text like that from your boss, what would you think? Oh my God, he's upset. He's yelling at me in text. Isn't that what you'd think? We're all in caps. You call him. I got your text. I'm calling. What's up? Oh, a whole bunch of us are going to a ball game on Friday. You want to come with us? Yeah, but you wrote me in caps. I thought you were upset. Oh no, it was stuck on caps. I didn't unstick it. We've all had, communications like that. So the yelling boss thought that I was in trouble or there was some urgent thing. I made it all up. Imagine. Once I called the boss, oh, we're going to the ball game on Friday. You want to come? My worrisome concern was negated. You see that? It's not just the dream state. It happens whenever we have an illusion, a delusion about the world. point we're getting at here is it possible to negate the entire phenomenal waking state experience? Remember our definition of what's real with a capital R. That which is never subject to negation. This gets really subtle. So Michael and I have been working on a daily basis. How long have you been here now? 4 or 5 days? Yeah. And he's been sharing with me some of his spiritual experiences. Do you mind me talking about this? I should ask your permission first.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he'll have this kind of meditative experience, and he'll have that kind of meditative experience. And like, should I be going in this direction? Should I be going in that direction? Is this getting closer on the way? Is that getting more on the way? Have I articulated the doubt?
Yeah, very well.
Yeah. So what did the Guru say? Did it have a beginning and an end?
Yeah.
Did it have qualities and characteristics? Did it change one kind of meditative experience, another kind of a meditative experience? I'm not saying you didn't experience it, but that isn't it. So when you had the first meditative experience, who knew it? Right. Yeah. Got to speak up so the Zooms can hear you. And you had the other meditative experience, who knew it?
Aye.
So what is it that's not subject to negation? That's not refutable? The I. Yes. Everything else, drop it. Yeah, but drop it. This is the ruthlessness of Jnana Yoga of the Advaita Vedanta. That's why it's the shortest and most direct path. So let's see if the waking state is real or subject to refutation. Going on.
अस्ति सर्वस्य दृशस्य बाधो प्रत्ययकालिकः तस्मात् सत्यम् एव स्यात् भावाभावात्मना स्थितम्. There is the denial of all visible objects at the time of their non-cognition. Therefore, what is existing with the nature of being and non-being, that is, all the visible objects, can only be unreal. So, we have talked about if it doesn't exist in the beginning, if it has prior non-existence, then it has existence in the middle, and then has subsequent non-existence. It's impermanent. My experience is refuted. When I move my awareness from one object to another, the prior object is not available. Did you all have lunch today? Is your lunch still here? But are you still here? Who was present to no lunch? I was. Now, Jim, but there's something continuous there's an individual me that holds it all together. It's through memory.
Today is what, the 20th of January? What were you doing on the 20th of January in 2010? You have any idea? We have huge holes in our memory, but we have no experience of not eyeing. What is it that is never subject to negation, never subject to refutation? All phenomena can be refuted. First of all, we have no way of proving what I'm experiencing and what you're experiencing. So, Puneet, can you see the red glass? I can see the red glass. I have no way of knowing whether what you're actually experiencing, that you're calling the red glass, is what I'm experiencing. No way to know. I don't know what your brain's doing with data. We just agree that whatever it is that you're perceiving, we're both calling it a red glass. Very interesting.
Jim, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You said that there is, in my experience, there is never a time when I was not eyeing, right?
Yes.
How, if I say that my eyeing started from when I was physically born and it did not exist prior to that, how do you refute it?
How do you know that's true?
Yeah.
How do you know your existence wasn't there before you were born?
I don't know either way, but
Yes.
here a claim is being made.
But what I'm saying is, you have no experience of the fact that you came into existence at birth.
Yeah.
What you know for sure is you don't know.
Yeah.
But you have no experience of what happened 10 years ago. So the fact that you cannot remember your birth does not refute your existence.
No,
The
that
lack
I agree
of-
with.
The
That I
lack
agree
of
with.
say again.
So that I agree that the lack of memory does not point to the lack of my existence, right?
Yes.
But how do I know that existence did not begin with my birth? Because I have no memory whatsoever of prior birth, but I have a scattered memory after birth.
I understand. And it's not necessary right now.
Okay.
Many of us do remember prior births, but Vedanta is useful even if you take a completely materialistic standpoint. Let's say, just for the sake of argument, when you're born, you're born. When you die, you die. How can I live my life with maximum happiness in the 70, 80, 90 years I might get? It's still the same teaching.
Right. No, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So to point out your prior existence to birth is something I cannot do.
Mm.
Just like I have no idea where you were on the 20th of January of 2010. There's no way for me to prove to you that you existed.
Mm.
But it's not necessary.
Sure.
It's not necessary. What we're endeavoring to prove is the fundamental insubstantiality of phenomena. And there is something that is not refutable
Yeah, for sure.
in my direct experience. Because where does the mind get frightened? I think if this is going to happen, I'm going to get destroyed. I'm going to fall into an abyss. I'll be wiped out. I'll be destroyed. I'll be ruined. Everyone will hate me. If I lose my job, I'm going to be pushing a shopping cart in the street. You know, if my wife leaves me, I'll be loveless. You know, I have all these ideas that somehow all this phenomena is going to affect or change me. And I can only maintain that idea through the lack of investigation into myself.
Mm.
Let's see if I can come up with another worldly example. Now, the psychological condition that anorexics have, I think, is called dysphoria. Is that the right word? When someone's anorexic, they are unhealthily thin,
Mm.
but they think they are fat.
Oh.
You see, understand the point? So what does the psychologist need to do? The psychologist has to convince the anorexic who has this dysphoria to investigate the truth of what their body really looks like. You take photographs of the body, you put them next to another person. Look at what you look like. You look, it's like a skeleton with a dress on. You look like a healthy woman, etc. You know, you're not fat. You're really thin. Yeah, but I feel fat. I know you feel fat, but you're not. You have this delusion about what your body looks like. That's the dysphoria of anorexia. Making sense?
Yep.
Our spiritual ignorance is the same kind of problem.
Mm.
I think I'm a person. I think I'm a body. And I'm convinced that what happens to the body, mind, intellect happens to me. And what do I have to do? Over and over and over again. Trishya viveka. Am I ever touched by this experience? Look. Or are you still witnessing consciousness? Don't believe me.
Mm.
That making sense?
Yeah, that's useful.
That's the process. So in the end, what does knowledge of the self gives us? It frees us from existential fear. I am rooted in the understanding. Nothing can touch me. It's all going to be okay. And the other thing it gives us is I finally know where happiness is. Happiness is the mind abiding in the self. It's not in the world. Very simple in the end. Is America going to turn into an autocratic society? Are we going to lose democracy? I don't know, but it won't ever touch the self. Oh, the stock market's going to crash. I'm going to lose my retirement. May happen, but it will never touch the self. Oh, my Tesla stock is going to go through the roof. I'm going to be rich. It might, but it never touches the self. And if I have, was there a question?
No.
Okay. If I have spriha, longing, I want, vancha, I'm miserable. If I can let go. Let the Leela unfold. Then I have peace. No matter what's happening in the movie. Good questions, good questions. All right, next one.
यस्या भाव स्पर्शलेश कदाचित् कुत्रचिन्न हि एवं विधं तु चित्तत्वं सत्यं सर्वात्मना स्थितं तस्मात् भिन्न मोक्षस्तु न सत्य स्यात् कथंचन. But for which there is not even a little contact with not-being at any time, anywhere, such kind of principle of consciousness is entirely true. Liberation different from it cannot be true on any account.
Yes. So he's riffing on this term we get in Gita, asparsha yoga. The root is prichati, which means to touch. So asparsha means untouched. So the truth is, heat and cold get to the body, but I am ever the witness of it. Suffering and pleasure get to the mind, but none of it touches me. I'm the witness of it. Certainty and doubt, siddha, asiddha, success and failure, accomplishment and not accomplishing things. Those decisions get to my mind, but none of it touches me. Asangoham, 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 puna punaha, satchidananda rupo aham, aham evaham avyayah, unattached, unattached, unattached am I again. Again. Twice a practice of it. I am of the form of pure existence, consciousness, bliss absolute. I am immune. So, our mumukshutva, our burning desire for liberation, our desire to be realized, our desire to be enlightened, is like a stick used to stir the funeral pyre in the smashan, in the cremation ground. What is it that's being cremated? My stupid ego. All my stupid ideas about what's valuable in the world, about who I am, stuff like that. Let go, let go, let go, burn it up. Burn it. But Jim, I want to be realized. Jim, I want to be realized. Take the mumukshutva. Now throw it on the fire. Don't try to be a realized person. No, you are Brahman. I have always been. Have no relationship with the world. It's in me, but I am not in it. Well, it's not even really in me, as Krishna says in the next one.
Moksha Purna Swarupasya Sakrit Prathana Muchyate Chetya Varja Namatrena Vipurna Prakritita. Liberation is declared as the appearance of the full natural state of oneself always. Consciousness is declared as full or complete by the mere renunciation of knowable objects.
I'm sorry, I got distracted by that. Would you read the English again?
Liberation is declared as the appearance of the full natural state of oneself always. Consciousness is declared as full or complete by the mere renunciation of knowable objects.
So, when we have a verse that talks about the renunciation of knowable objects, we always talk about it in two ways. First, as we had in the prior chapter, remember we had these two terms, the prakasha, the light of pure awareness, and then the vimarsha, which is deliberation. That, in a sense, is what there is of knowable objects. Cease the vimarsha, stop the vrittis. And that mind state of no mind is termed samadhi. In that state, it's clear who and what I am. But listen carefully. Nirvikalpa samadhi is not the highest state. It leads to what we call sahaja samadhi, natural or continuous samadhi. So there's a rainstorm, and you go outside and you see the rainbow. And a child says, "Oh, mommy, let's get in the car and drive to the end of the rainbow. There might be a pot of gold there." The child sees the rainbow and thinks it's a real bow in the sky. But the adult sees the same rainbow, but knows it's simply light being refracted through moisture in the atmosphere. There's no solid rainbow. Seen, but not real. Train tracks meeting in the distance. Seen, but not real. the bowl of the sky, seen but not real. Mirage waters in the desert, seen but not real. The phenomenal seen. So whether the yogi is in samadhi, deep meditation, or functioning in the world, there's no inside, no outside. The presence of phenomena is negated when we see it for what it is. How do we do this? The biggest key, listen very carefully, is to not believe your mind. You cannot think a real thought. No thought is real, including the one I just gave. Only I. Second chapter of Mandukya thunders in the fourth verse. The phenomenal world is quite unreal. The proof of its unreality is that it is seen. If it's not the subject, if it's not I, it is subject to negation. It's not. Next verse.
चेत्याभासनमेवास्यात् चित्ते संकोचनं भवेत् चेत्याभाने चित्तिपूर्णा परिच्छेद विवर्जनात्. The appearance of knowable objects alone would be the contraction of this consciousness. When there is non-appearance of knowable objects, consciousness is whole on account of exclusion of division.
Yes. So here, the easiest way to explain it is this. This is the exercise we did earlier today. So we're going to talk about the I here, E-Y-E-I. So as you look around, you have full peripheral vision. But if you close one eye and make a tube of your hands and peek through, it seems like your vision is obscured. You lose all your peripheral vision. But your eye, your E-Y-E, has not been changed. Remove your hands, and the vastness of your vision is apparent. Likewise, when consciousness is peeping through the equipment, the intellect, the mind, the senses, it seems to me like myself is limited. What do I need to do to see what I'm really like? Remove the occluding phenomena. All of that is nothing more than vritti, the movement of the mind, vimarsha, deliberation, the flow of thought. Tanu manasaha, thinness of mind, removes the obfuscation. Why? My problem is I attribute to the self the qualities of the non-self. That's all there is to it. Now, if you look in the mirror in the bathroom after you've taken your shower and the bathroom mirror is foggy, you cannot see your face. Turn on the exhaust fan and the fog dissipates and you can see your face in the mirror. There is value in looking at the clear mirror standing. But when you leave the bathroom, your face doesn't fall off. Nor do you need to keep running around all day with a hand mirror in order that your face is okay. So in the beginning, it is important to practice samadhi. Tune up the mind. Practice this deep introversion so that you are clear about the nature of yourself. But once you're rooted in that understanding, the presence of the mind doesn't make yourself disappear. Most ordinary mind state. You're doing the dishes. Who's aware of you doing the dishes? I'm aware. When are you ever not you? It's a little different when the Varana Shakti overcomes the mind. And then I think I'm a person. So the point here is we're not attached even to samadhi. We then have a natural or continuous samadhi. In the wonderful hymn, the Nirvana Shatakam, one of the stanzas goes, Aham nirvikalpo. Shankara says, my nature is nirvikalpa. It's not a mind state then, it's my nature. Who knows to look at it? Next verse.
कालादिभिः परिच्छेदो यदि तस्या निरूप्यते अचेत परिच्छेदश्चेतितो वा भवेदवत्. If the division of that consciousness by time and the rest is perceived, say whether that division was manifested or not manifested by consciousness. As a note, only consciousness can illuminate objects constituting the division referred to.
So the whole point is, if I am now aware of time and space and all its divisions, those divisions themselves are illumined by vijnana ghanam, the homogeneous mass of consciousness that's I. What is the eternal factor? What's the constant factor? What is it that is unchanging? What is it that's never subject to refutation? Never subject to negation. Going on.
Achetane hyasiddha syachane tane saiva vyapika loke kala parichanno bhavoya kopi bhavitah bhavakalo parichedhya parichedakatam gatao chitta vyaptao bhavetam vai yada tarhi tatha vidhau. If not illuminated by consciousness, the division into place, time, and the rest would indeed be unproved. When illuminated, that consciousness alone is pervading. Whatever object divided by time is considered in the world, there the object and time have gone to the state of the divided and the divider. When they are truly pervaded by consciousness, then they are of the same nature.
So we cannot verify anything without an observer. Knowledge is dependent on the knower. And if it is known, it is in consciousness. This is the great logical error of what we call the Shunyavadins. The Shunyavadins is a particular sect of Buddhists who posit that there is no ultimate reality. That consciousness that we experience in itself is temporary. The problem with that is it's completely unverifiable. So I ask you, do you exist? No, I don't exist. I'm a Shunyavadin. I've had the experience of my non-existence. You have. It's a contradiction in terms. How can you experience the non-existence when there was no one there to experience it? It is completely unverifiable. Okay, if we go to the end of the universe, what's on the other side? Unverifiable. There is no way you can ever negate all. Next verse.
Quick question.
Yes.
Is it not also impossible to verify that consciousness is ever existent? It could be ever present for us, but we can't necessarily say it's ever existent.
What do you mean by existent?
Do
Do you mean that it exists as an object?
that it is everlasting.
I mean, can you posit that consciousness is continuous through time to the end of time? Is that what you're saying? That it'll last forever?
Yes, I guess so, yeah.
Well, let's play with some of these words here, because
Yeah.
you've asked a good question. The actual words are Brahma Satyam Jagad Mityeti Yeti Rupa Vinishchayaha Soyam Nitya Anitya Vastu Vivekaha Samudaritaha. Brahman alone is real. The phenomenal world is unreal. The firm conviction of that. Samudharitaha is known as Nitya, Anitya, Vivekaha. Now we say real and unreal. What does Nitya actually mean? Don't get confirmed with Mithya, illusion, and nitya. You're our Sanskritist of the day. What's nitya?
Eternal.
What does eternal mean? What's the difference between nityam and sanatanam or puranam?
Ancient is, I guess, a timelessness into one, and the other one has some sort of
Yes. Nitya, eternal, implies being outside of time. Puranam means ancient, lasts a long time through time. Sanatanam, really, really old, and maybe it'll go on into the future. So your question exists in the world of relativity.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah.
That's not what Brahma Satyam Jagam Nitya means.
Yeah.
It means that the self is eternal, and the eternality of it is now. Both past and future are in fact ideas. If you remember what you did yesterday, that memory occurs in the now. In fact, you cannot prove that your memory of yesterday is anything different than a dream. All we can ever say about the self is now. The eternal now. Time occurs in it. We want to drop this idea of eternality being a linear concept. Is that useful?
Yeah, makes sense.
Very good question. Okay, it's 9 o'clock. We have to quit here. Very, very good stuff. This is so subtle stuff. What verse are we on for next week?
We're going to do 30 next.
30 next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you all.
Actually, it's 33. No.
33. We lied. It's 33 for next week. And our newbies, how did you do with the class? Were you able to follow along with us?
Yeah, for the most part. It's very, very interesting. Very
Okay.
engaging.